Today, we're talking about YouTube brand deals. And look, a lot of people think that you have to be some monster YouTube channel in order to get sponsorships and brand deals for what it is that you're doing. But the information shared today is going to even apply to a lot of new content creators, or we'll say small content creators as well. And we're going to take away some of the ideas that you have about what you think is required to get brand deals. And we're going to talk about all things related to getting sponsorships and brand deals. We're going to talk about how to get them in the first place, how to get on the radar when it comes to brands. We're going to talk about how to make more money from what it is that you're doing. But for this, I'm going to bring on a very special guest. His name is Justin Moore. Justin is a sponsorship coach. So we're pulling in like an expert on brand deals for this, but Justin's a sponsorship coach. He's the founder of Creator Wizard. Let me pull this site up here for you really quick. He's the founder of Creator Wizard, which is a school and community that teaches you how to find and negotiate your dream brand deals so that you stop leaving lots of money on the table when it comes to brand deals. Along with his wife, April, he's been a full-time content creator for over 8 years, and he's personally made over $4 million working with brands. He also ran an influencer marketing agency for over 7 years that's helped other content creators earn an additional $3 million. So when it comes to brand deals, he's got both sides of it, right? And it's not just a content creator's experience of working on it with their own YouTube channel and thinking to themselves like, hey, how do I just get more brand deals for myself? He's actually worked with other content creators at scale, helping them also make more money from brand deals. So he knows the stuff inside and out. In addition to that, Justin brings a very unique perspective because not only has he been a creator in the trenches himself, right? He's not just an agency person, just, working for some company getting deals, but he's in the trenches himself doing all aspects of this. But because of that, he has insider knowledge about how big brands actually choose which influencers they partner with and why they pass on others. But his mission for 2023 is to land 1 million paid brand sponsor, to land 1 million brand sponsor partnerships by 2023. So welcome, Justin. I hope that you're doing fantastic, man. Welcome to the stream today. And as we get started, I just want to thank you for coming on here and sharing your expertise. It's really, really appreciated.
Absolutely, dude. Thanks for having me, man. I'm so glad we're doing this and excited to chat sponsorship strategy.
Likewise, man. So for everybody that's hanging out in the chat right now, as we're getting started, I do want to let you know there's a form pinned at the very top of the chat. So what you want to do if you have a question about anything related to sponsorships on YouTube or just content in general, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Justin, but it doesn't matter if it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, like wherever you're at, you got information, right?
Wherever you have built influence, you are sponsorable.
So because of that, if you have a question, just make sure that you get it in the form. And again, it's free to put your question in there. And the form is at the very top of the live chat right now. And if you are watching this on the replay, I want to let you know that links to Justin and everything else that we're going to be talking about here during the stream today is linked down in the description below. So Justin, as we first get into this, because I went through your bio, but when it comes to brand deals by themselves, why do you think brand deals are important for content creators to think about, not only once they get established, but as they're getting the ball rolling on their YouTube channels?
Okay, so let's talk about it when you're kind of at the outset of your journey as a YouTuber. I think that there's a lot of fixation on getting monetized. And I understand that. It's just an exciting thing. It's like, wow, imagine just being able to create the content that I love and getting paid for it, right? And that money just slides right into my bank account magically from AdSense, right? But as a lot of y'all have probably discovered, it can be somewhat of a tall order to get monetized, right? To get the amount of watch hours that are required and the subscribers and so on. And obviously the requirements change from year to year from YouTube, but I think that the biggest myth that I wanted to dispel initially is that sponsorships are only for you after you get monetized. A lot of people think that, like, oh, I'm going to wait to get monetized, then I'll start thinking about sponsorships. And what I like to say is that you can make a lot more money from sponsorships than AdSense at the outset of your creator journey. And I think that, if there's one thing that you kind of take away from this conversation, initially is that, perhaps you should be starting to think about working with brands a lot earlier than you may have thought, right? There's no arbitrary threshold like, oh, I got to get to 1,000 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers before I reach out to a brand, because they're not going to find me legitimate, which is 100% false. And we'll talk about that in terms of strategies that smaller channels can employ. But that's the one of the biggest takeaways that I hope folks can get from today.
As a part of that, like I've never, been able to do this. Like I've never, tried, but, there are also people that will get brand deals when they're actually starting a YouTube channel. Like if they have experience and all of that, on YouTube, and they can, pitch it to maybe a relationship that they already have, or, something like that. In some cases, some people will get deals before they even start YouTube channels as well. It's rare, but it happens.
Can I share a real life anecdote of that, Nick?
Yes, please do. Please do.
So I literally just started a brand new YouTube channel a month ago. And it's for my new video podcast called Creator Debates. And by the way, the tagline is awesome. It's stupid arguments to help creators make smart decisions. And it's literally every podcast. It's a video podcast. I have two creators on debating a contentious topic in the creator economy, like video podcast versus audio podcast, or TikTok versus YouTube, or whatever, this kind of thing. And so I started this video podcast, this brand new YouTube channel, and I had zero track record, zero subscribers. I had no idea how it was going to perform, and I got it sponsored. Right. Nice. And so, the sponsor, just to give them a shout out, is ConvertKit, which is like an email, marketing email service provider. And I basically went to them with this pitch, and I said, here's the thing. I do have obviously somewhat of a track record. I have another channel. I have a newsletter. I have these types of things. So I have a little bit of proof and illustration that I have credibility. But this new project that I was launching, this new YouTube channel, I had nothing. I didn't know what it was going to do. Right. And so I kind of came to them with this pitch, with this proposal. And basically what I said to them is, look, this new project, the audience for this is going to be your exact customer persona, the exact type of customers that you're trying to reach. And I was honest. I don't know what the performance is going to be like, but I think it's going to do really well. Why don't we forge something right out the gates? And they basically said, let's give it a shot. Sure, let's do it. Basically kind of a month-to-month partnership. We agreed on a rate, and we can kind of revisit it down the line once we have a little bit of data on how it actually performs. So like the takeaway should be is like you cannot be afraid to shoot your shot, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. And, like when it comes to this side of things, one thing that I would also like you to just talk about for a second, if you don't mind, is, when it comes to content creators, a lot of content creators will come onto the platform and all they're thinking about is making videos and just being a YouTuber. But how much do you think like business acumen and just kind of looking at your channel and what it is that you're doing with your content through the lens of, like a business person as well as a content creator, how important do you think that is when it comes to, this type of scenario?
So put yourself in the shoes of the brand or the agency for a second. The vast majority of the time when they're interacting with creators, they're super unprofessional. Like I can speak with this with authority, which is that I have exchanged over 10,000 emails with creators at this point. Like you said, I ran this agency for many years. And so I've been on the receiving end of a huge amount of unprofessionalism. And I don't think that it's always super malicious or intentional. Like, let's be frank, like a lot of creators, sometimes they never had a real job. They never had a corporate job where they had to understand email etiquette and like what you can and can't say, when you're interacting in a professional setting. And so, literally people will just be rude. They'll be not super timely. They'll be really unprofessional in terms of the way in which they're responding. Look, when a brand sends you a note and it's like 6 paragraphs long with all these information that they need to know, you cannot reply to them, yes. You can't do that. And you might think that that's a joke, but it's not. Like, this is something that a lot of folks do. And so imagine if you're the one who starts educating yourself around how to be more professional, how to be more communicative, how do you actually articulate your worth and your value, then that brand partner or that agency is going to think, wow, this creator is not like all the others, right? And they're going to be a lot more interested in pulling this thread and having this conversation with you because it seems like you're actually invested in the outcome.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So do you want to answer some questions here from the community? Okay,
let's do it.
So the very first question that we have here is from Happy to Buru. And they do business investing and self-help content. And they say that they've gotten brand deals in the past, but they're struggling to get them for YouTube specifically. besides short content, which gets much more views on average? Do you have any strategies to increase the amount of brands that I can find / how to find them for my long form or short form content? Also, I charge around $600 to $1,000 for a short video, which has been good. But at what point can I start charging more?
Okay. So we can go down a lot of different paths with this conversation. But the first one that I want to talk about is kind of a mindset shift when it comes to sponsorships in general. One of the most common DMs that I get, Nick, is someone messaging me and then be like, I am getting X thousand views on average per video, and I'm doing this many thousands of views per month, and my view, or I'm working on this new video series or something like that, and I know it's going to blow up. I'm killing it right now. Can you help me find a brand to sponsor me? That is the framing of a lot of the conversations that I have. And there is a flaw in that logic, which is that is a very me focused perspective, right? It's like, how can I find a brand to sponsor me? When in reality, if you reach out to a brand with that pitch, because this is the form a lot of pitches take. It's like, hey, reach out to brand X. I'm Justin. I have this many thousand, subscribers. I have this many views. Here's the demographics of my audience, blah, 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 blah. The brand gets that email. They have no idea who you are. Delete. They just deleted your email. They don't care, right? And people joke that I'm kind of like their tough love mentor when it comes to this kind of thing. But I'm telling you, this is the reality: is that they don't know you. They don't care. They don't care that you have 1 million, views per video or 1 million views per month. They don't care. They don't know you, right? And it basically, it's like, what is in it for them? That is the reality here. And so, one of the things that I teach with my pitching methodology is that your pitch has to be them focused. And so the form that this takes is you do a little bit of sleuthing, you do a little bit of research, and you see what is going on in their world. What does it seem like their marketing objectives right now are? What campaigns does it seem like they're posting about on, for example, Instagram right now, which is a great way to see kind of what marketing initiatives they're running right now, if it's a consumer brand, right? What types of things are they posting on their press releases? What about their job boards, Nick? Maybe they have a posting for a content marketing manager or a social media manager or a digital influencer marketing manager, whatever, right? And they literally are listing out all the different things that they're trying to do, right? And so you do a little bit of research, and then you reach out with your pitch and you say, hey, it seems like you are trying to revamp your content marketing strategy based on the speculative research that I did. I can help you do that in the following ways. Boom, 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 boom. Sponsor my YouTube channel, sponsor my shorts, sponsor my, whatever, right? And you see how this is a cause and effect? It's a problem solution framing. It's, hey, brand, you have identified this is your objective. And so sponsoring me is the solution to help you accomplish those marketing objectives. Because, by the way, they don't have a random pool of money to pay creators that reach out. They just don't. But what they do have, they have budget allocated for their own objectives. And so your task is to reframe that sponsoring you is going to help them achieve that. And so the advice that I would give to the person who asked the question is how can you think about how your channel can serve as a solution to certain strategic brands in your niche? Because remember, you are the conduit for brands to reach new prospective customers. They don't really care about partnering with you, candidly. You might be a good creator and good influencer, but that's table stakes. There's lots of creators out there. How can you help them reach prospective customers? So that's one side of it. And then the second part of it is starting to think a little bit more strategically about how you can serve. What are the assets that you have that you can serve people? So, for example, one strategy, if you're seeing that a brand is not really utilizing YouTube as a strategy, really, is a YouTube SEO strategy. You say, hey, YouTube is the world's second largest search engine after Google. And it doesn't seem like you are utilizing YouTube in a strategic way. And so what are the 5 keywords that you want to rank for on YouTube? And then they say, oh, we'd love to, search, rank for these long tail, keywords or whatever. And you say, okay, I'm going to make you 5 videos that are, the whole point of this campaign is to rank in search for these keywords, right? So that is a completely different strategy than hey, sponsor my YouTube video,
dude,
right?
Yeah, like you just blew so many minds here. Like, yeah, people in the chat are like, like, wow, this is gold. Holy cow. Like, wow, this is, like that was gold. Yeah, like that framing in terms of like when you're, when you're reaching out, just making it not, hey, this is what's going on with me, but this is what's going on with you, and this is how I can help. That's so next level. And with that also, another thing that I thought was clever on the research side of things is you're even checking job boards. Like that's huge. You're checking job boards. You're checking the ads that they're running. Are you using any type of special tools? Because I know, like for Shopify, for example, you can go and you can research, like the ads that people are running on Facebook, through their pages and things like that. Do you use any type of tools to help you on that side of things?
So there are tools. I mean, yeah, like you said, that you can absolutely look at the ad library on Meta and stuff like that too. But I honestly like to kind of keep it simple because most people are not going to invest in tools. And I initially, when I started coaching people, I did give them, oh, here's all these tools and all this stuff too. And I found that it kind of overwhelmed people. And so I like to keep it simple. I honestly, like, you can learn a lot just from looking at their Instagram. Here is a next level tactic, Nick, which is, okay, so let's talk about the time frame. Let's say that you want to pitch, let's do a real life example. What's a brand you want to pitch, Nick? Let's do a real world example here.
Let's say M&Ms.
Okay, M&Ms, like the candy.
Yeah, the candy
or the rapper. Which one? I mean, we could pitch the rapper too if you want.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, love to have M&M on. Yeah, the candies. Yeah, the candies. We'll just say M&Ms.
Okay, so what you would do? Let's say you want to pitch M&M right now. What you are pitching them right now is not an Easter campaign, right? Because they have seasonal Easter M&Ms like for those candies, right? And so you're sitting here thinking like, oh yeah, like Easter, that's only a month away. Like that seems pretty reasonable. M&M has locked in their Easter campaign. If they're running campaigns for Easter, they have locked that in 3 months ago, 6 months ago, maybe. They are a giant organization, and there is a lot of moving pieces in terms of if they're literally a brand like M&M, their corporate conglomerate parent company, they are probably spending, tens of millions of dollars a year on their marketing, omni-channel, right? Broadcast TV ads, outdoor, billboards and bus benches, print magazines, digital media, YouTube pre-roll, right? So the whole gamut. And so it takes a lot of time and strategy to deploy that capital, right? It's not like they decide, oh, like 3 weeks before, like, okay, we're going to run an influencer campaign. We're going to do all these things. Like they have to plan this stuff really far in advance. And so as a creator, if you are wanting to pitch a giant brand like that, even a medium-sized brand, doesn't have to be a conglomerate like that, even a medium-sized brand, they have to, think about this stuff pretty far in advance. So if I am pitching a brand like that, I'm thinking summer campaign at a minimum right now. Right. Nice. And so what you are doing is you're going to go to their Instagram and you're going to scroll back all the way to July or June of last year, 2022. And you're going to see what campaigns does it seem like they were running last year? And then when you pitch them, you reach out and you say, hey, it seems like, I saw that you were running this, M&M, hashtag M&M summer, all summer long, whatever, maybe there's a hashtag or something. I saw that you were running that last year. Are you going to be running that again this year? That is the thrust of the pitch. I would love to help you, amplify it in the following ways. Boom, 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 boom. Right. And so contrast that with, hi, I'm Justin. I have 1 million followers and 1 million,
right.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
they don't care.
Day.
It's night and day because it's like, what does it signal to them? You did your research. It seems like you're actually invested and interested in helping them accomplish their objective. I think a lot of creators think that brands reinvent the wheel with their marketing every year, and that is not true at all. They just basically take the same playbook, they dust it off, and they run it again, right? Maybe they're going to run it on TikTok this time or YouTube Shorts or whatever, right? And so that is like a really quick and easy way that you can utilize the stuff that they're already posting to make your, amp up your pitch to be one that they'll actually open and respond to.
Love it. Absolutely love it, man. You're dropping so much gold here. Like you could have dropped the mic like a few comments ago and just like walked in and everybody that showed up would have been like, hey, totally worth it. This is great. Thanks. Yeah, it's awesome. So another question that we have here is from Architectural Sheet Metal 101. He says, how do we sell/pitch a recurring subscription based deal to a brand? Now with this one, this is something that I always do. So I personally have like a limit to where they have to do at least 3 videos with me or I don't do it at all. And I typically try to go for 3 month, 6 month, or 1 year contracts with what it is that I do, just for the reason of it, keeping me off the hamster wheel. So I'm not constantly, on that grind trying to, get deals. And another thing with the recurring idea in terms of, just doing something, monthly, is that the way that I pitch that is that it also is something that will help, one, show that I'm continually standing behind that brand instead of it just being like, hey, I mentioned it one time and then it's just that video and it's over. So it just allows me to saturate the audience with it. And two, with me, publishing videos about it on a regular basis, then in that particular case, I'm more able to reach a higher segment of the people that are interacting with my content in general, right?
Yeah.
So that's typically the approach that I take, when I'm, working out deals. What is your recommendation for actually pitching that, yourself?
Yeah, and so
or is that even something that you go for?
So okay, so let me split hairs a little bit here, because I wanna kind of put back on my agency hat that I ran for many years and provide you the perspective of the brand. Okay. So when a creator reaches out and pitches a deal like that, let's say that it's a creator who they've never worked with before, and they have this experience set working with lots and lots of creators who are not professional, they don't hit deadlines, they're not communicative, right? And so if a brand or agency does not have experience working with you, it's going to be pretty difficult to convince them to do a long-term recurring partnership with you at the outset. However, if you are able to establish, perhaps do an initial partnership, illustrate to them what it's like working with you, and then when you provide them, we can get into this later, it's something that I teach called a post-campaign report. After the campaign is over and you provide both quantitative and qualitative insights into how successful the campaign was, then you can pitch that next level kind of recurring partnership idea. That's not to say that it's impossible. It is possible to pitch a recurring, partnership right out the gates, but in my experience and in my opinion, it's a lot easier, unless you're a creator who has millions of subscribers and clear, followers and all that stuff too. Then yeah, maybe it's easier for candidly, you have a huge amount of credibility. You have,
and I have a sales background, and that helps.
And you have a sales background, and so you can have
right.
so you can have these conversations, and you can have these kind of higher level conversations if you're on a call with a brand or something like that, right? And so the whole point is that you want the brand to feel, or the agency to feel, this kind of warm and fuzzy feeling that, hey, if we are going to give Nick 20K, or if we're going to give Justin, 5K, or whoever, creator X, 2K a month or whatever, that we have to feel as though this investment is going to be solid. It's going to give us a return. Candidly, oftentimes what it is that whatever contact that you're negotiating with, that person won't look like an idiot if they do this deal with you, right? If they do this deal and they'd be like, hey, I'm going to pay Nick 2K a month for 6 months or whatever. If they turn around and their boss, they have to go provide these reports to their boss and be like, hey, this campaign with Justin didn't go so hot, or whatever. I mean, work with me or you would be amazing. But, if it was put yourself in the shoes of that marketer, right? And so your job as a creator should be like, okay, how can I help this person win? What guarantees, what things can I build into this deal? If it is an ongoing partnership, right? And I am trying to pitch a 3, 6, 12-month thing, what kind of safeguards can I build into this partnership so that my contact feels like they are kind of have a CYA, right? Or if it's an agency, that they can go to their client with this compelling conversation of why they should do this. So again, it's not impossible, but in my experience, it's a lot easier to sell that through if they already have at least one data point of working with you.
Yeah, that's great. Absolutely love it. So really quick, you're throwing out a lot of words in terms of, pitching and negotiating, things like that. And I'm assuming, most everybody that's here, they know what that's about. But one thing that I also want to bring to everybody's attention, just based on some of the things that we are talking about, is Justin has something called a sponsorship wheel snapshot. And let me grab the link for this. I'm going to drop it here into the chat. But basically what this is, could you go ahead and explain this for him, Justin, to let them know exactly what this is when they go and check this out?
Yeah, so the sponsorship wheel snapshot, there's 2 reasons why it's important to you. It's going to help you get more sponsorships and get paid more for each sponsorship, okay? And so basically what it is, it's an assessment. It basically is going to take you, candidly, about 7 to 10 minutes. If you're really serious about this, whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And essentially, it walks through my 8-step methodology of everything that it takes to actually execute successful brand partnerships, right? So the pitching phase, the negotiation, the contracts, the concept, the actual production phase, the feedback round, the publication round, and the analysis round. These are, I've done literally at this point, Nick, I've done over 500 sponsorships personally, my wife and I, over the last decade,
Nice.
as well as I've done over 1,000 deals, plus a lot over through my agency. So I have a huge amount of experience of doing these types of partnerships. And so I've distilled basically, what the secret sauce to every successful partnership into this methodology. And so I'm really excited because I literally just launched this snapshot. It's totally free, by the way. And you can take this survey, and this is the beautiful part, is that it helps you give you an understanding of like where you should be focusing. Because if you see that second screen that Nick was showcasing, that it gives you this PDF report that you get emailed to you. And so you can kind of see like, okay, maybe I'm pretty strong in kind of the the publication and the actual production phase. Like I'm pretty good at that, but you know what? My pitching, my analysis, my kind of concepting phase, like I'm not so strong on that. And so it helps give you a little bit of directional insight into where you should be focusing on. I should watch more videos about this, or I should read more about this. Help hone my negotiation chops, this kind of thing. And so I'm really, really excited about launching this thing because I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Absolutely, it will. Like you're like just the words that are coming out of your mouth are already helping people in a massive way. Everybody that's hanging out here. So yeah, I'm sure once they actually get connected to like a system that you have, yeah, I can imagine the process that happens there. So the next question that we have. So yeah, everybody, make sure that I have the link in the chat for that. So anybody that's interested in doing brand deals and you want to make sure that you're doing everything correctly and you just want to get a great understanding of it, make sure that you go and you check that out. So the next question that we have here is from Code Creations. They say, what about games or mobile gaming? How would that approach change when it comes to how you're actually reaching out to companies for sponsorship, either as a single opportunity or trying to get some type of recurring opportunity?
Sure. Okay. So
the same.
I mean, it's pretty universal, honestly.
Yeah.
Just the tactics change a little bit, right? So if I'm a gaming company, again, I do this a lot. I say, okay, let's put ourselves in the shoes of the brand, right? Because I think that's a very helpful exercise to help give you insight into how to pitch them. So if I'm a gaming company, what I like, pretty much the tactic, one of the major tactics that I'm doing all day long is like Google Play app install campaigns, right? I know that I can run ads in the Google Play Store or in, the App Store on Apple. And I know predictably, if I put in $1 of ad spend into, an ad on that store, I'm going to get out $2 in sale, in downloads of the app or whatever. They have that calculation dialed in, their marketing team, right? And so when you reach out to that brand, you have to understand that is likely going to be in the back of their head. They're doing this calculus. Okay, Codeations is saying, hey, we should pay him $1,000 or him or her $1,000, $2,000 or whatever to sponsor him. Is this a good investment relative to where we could be spending that money otherwise, right? On an ad campaign on Meta or on TikTok or whatever, right? And so you have to make sure that whatever you're pitching is compelling enough that you're able to articulate it enough so that they see the value. For example, one thing that you could potentially pitch them as part of this partnership is that, hey, I'm going to make some really compelling content for you that not only will I post about it on my page, but you can repurpose it to run ads. I'm going to give you the rights to actually cut down this YouTube video or use this short that I post on my channel, and you can actually run that as an ad. So then in their mind, they're thinking, okay, we're not only going to get organic distribution to Codeation's, audience, but we're also going to get extended mileage out of this asset by being able to put additional ad spend behind it. And so again, you just have to think a little bit more next level. And honestly, it doesn't change really. It's just about, you have to understand and put yourself in the shoes of the brand. Is like, what else are they doing? What other types of marketing are they doing? Because they're having that internal thought process of like, okay, Justin's like paying, because like, here's the thing. That if that brand has ever worked with creators before, they probably have an experience where they hired a creator who has like 100,000 YouTube subscribers, and they also hired someone who has 10,000. And perhaps that person who had 150,000 only got 10 downloads on the game, and the 5,000 subscriber person had 200 downloads on the game because they had a much more relevant niche audience, or they did the partnership in a more compelling way. And so they have this experience set where it's like they have, paid people lots of money and didn't see a lot of great results. So they don't have the same level of spending certainty with creators oftentimes that they do with running paid ads on Meta or on YouTube or whatever. Like, honestly, with some level of margin of error, plus or minus 10%, they know I put in $1, I get out $2 or whatever that calculus is. With creators, it's not like that. And so it's unpredictable oftentimes. And so you have to help them, give them the warm and fuzzy feeling like, hey, that partnering with Codiations or partnering with whatever creator XYZ, that, this is a worthwhile investment.
And, with that, also, another thing that can be advantageous is, you heard Justin mention previously, about, like going through and analyzing everything, once the campaign is finished. So if you don't have that yet, if you've never done any type of, brand deal, if you promote anything as an affiliate, that's also a great way to just kind of show, what you can do in terms of, hey, when I recommend, these things, this is about how much I generate. So even if you've never done any type of brand deal, you can actually start as an affiliate so that you can, get, so one, you can learn how to drive, people to your links and so on more efficiently, but two, so that you can also start getting data about how effective you are at, driving attention to those links and converting them as well.
100%. I mean, I think that's what holds a lot of people back. Oh, I don't have any case studies. I don't have any data. Brand has ever paid me or whatever. An affiliate deal, that is illustration of your expertise and your ability to influence. However, what I like 100%. And so I'm really glad you brought that up. The other thing I will say though, Nick, is that there is a very insidious mindset in my mind that a lot of creators have around partnerships, that the only value they can bring is driving sales or getting this amount of views or, driving, this amount of downloads on the game or whatever it is. Right. And literally that is only one of the 3 types of campaign goal types that brands care about when they work with you. And so conversion.
Could you explain that? Yeah, could you explain that really quick in terms of those 3 types? Because, just to add to what it is that you're saying, I've done those deals like you're talking about to where, I ask them, what type of, numbers are you looking for, those sorts of things. And, I've had those deals where they're like, no, we don't even care about that. Like we're actually, we're like, we don't care about that. And the first time I heard that, I was like, okay, hold on, wait a minute. So you don't care, like, like how many clicks I send? They're like, no, that's not what we're, actually doing this for. So yeah, if you could explain those, that would be super helpful.
Okay, so it's the ARC framework that I've created, okay? So ARC. So the first type of campaign goal type is an awareness campaign, right? Like you talked about, where it's a new product launch or they're launching in North America and they were previously in APAC or EMEA or something like that, right? Or it's a seasonal promotion, right? And so the most important thing to them as part of this deal is just spreading the word. And you know what? The metrics that they care about with those types of campaigns are pretty squishy, right? It's like, oh, impressions, like engagement, like views, like this type of thing, right? Like, yeah, maybe that's what they care about. But that is, like you said, they don't care about conversions in that scenario, right? The second type of campaign goal type is a repurposing campaign, like we talked about with Codiations, right? Where maybe that you ask them, hey, what does success look like to you, brand? And they say, you know what? We just really love your content. It's awesome. We'd love to embed it on our website, repurpose it on our social media channels. Like we just don't have a lot of great content on there. We want to use it to run paid advertising, right? And so the amount of money that you can charge for a campaign like that is completely detached from your viewership or your followership or your subscribership or whatever, because they just told you they don't care. They want to repurpose it in other ways, right? And then that last goal type, which is conversion, right? Where they actually do care about the sales and the app downloads and all that stuff too. And the reason that it's so important that this is one of the first questions that you ask a brand when you're interacting with them, right? Which is like, what is your goal? What does success look like? Is that, again, your pricing should change because their price sensitivity, their ability to negotiate with you on a awareness campaign is way lower than it is on a conversion campaign. Let me quickly explain to you why that is. So with a conversion campaign, think about basically every marketer, every brand has what's called a CPA metric, a cost per acquisition metric, where they know that, okay, if I pay, Nick $5,000, whatever, to do, 10 grand, whatever, it doesn't matter what amount. If I pay Nick this certain amount to do a partnership, right? Okay, let's say that he gets 100,000 views on the video, I'm going to just conservatively assume that 1% of the people who view it actually click through on that, sponsor link and go check out a free trial. And then of the people that join the free trial, then a certain percentage are going to convert to a paying customer, right? And let's say that total, whatever that math, napkin math comes out to, like, let's say it's 1,000 people or 100 people times the lifetime value of that person actually utilizing that product. So that number times X times Y equals $10,000, whatever. That is the max they're going to pay you, because that is the math on their end. They actually want to make more like 2x, right? They're not just going to want to break even. They want to invest, let's say 5K, 10K, whatever, and partner with you, and they want to make 15, 20, 30K. That's the whole point. That's the reason they're doing influencer marketing, because they're trying to acquire new customers or get more sales, right? And so a lot of creators get very frustrated when they're trying to negotiate with a brand, because they don't understand that this is a conversion campaign, and they literally don't have any wiggle room to negotiate more with you because of these metrics that they're beholden to, that their boss is breathing down their neck over here being like, how many sales is it going to drive, Justin? Like, this type of thing, right? Contrast that with the brand awareness campaign goal type, Nick. That person doesn't have their boss breathing down their neck. They're going to say, oh man, this is some great content. Wow, we really spread the word here. This is awesome. So your negotiating leverage in that scenario is so much more. And so again, it's so important that you actually ask these questions, act interested in the outcome, because you're going to make a lot more money.
And be interested in the outcome. The opportunity, like when it comes to being a content creator, like in reality, this is probably the easiest thing that I've ever done in my entire life. And when it comes to, people, reaching out and saying, hey, we'll give you, X amount to do, X, it's like, I'm making the content anyway. So this is just a bonus. I mean, of course, there's wear and tear on stuff, and, there's opportunity costs that come with sponsorships if you're monetizing in other ways and things like that. But like the reality of it is, like, I'm doing it anyway. So, it only makes sense. Yeah. So the next question that we have here is from Adventures with Time, and they are a small channel, 4,900 subs. They average around 1,000 views per video. They say, should they expect to be able to get brand deals? How and what should I expect or ask for a sponsorship? And they feel that being a smaller channel, why would somebody want to sponsor their channel?
Okay.
Great question.
This is Adventures with Time.
Yes.
I
can drop the link in private chat right here.
Absolutely. I have the channel here. Okay. I'm just pulling it up right now. Okay. Can we pull up his channel, like on the screen?
Yeah,
because I want to. Let's talk about this, because I love doing real life kind of teaching examples. And I'm seeing here that this is like a watch channel. I love this. This is a great example. Okay, so for example, let's just like spitball some ideas here. So you're saying, okay, I get about 1,000 views on average, for my channel. Like, is there a way in which I could find a brand or a partner to actually work with me? So let's take a step back here and talk about a really challenging constraint that a lot of creators feel is they think, okay, I look at this channel, Adventures with Time. The only brands who would ever want to sponsor me are like a watch parts brand or something, right? Like, that's what a lot of creators think. Like, I have a very niche channel, and the only types of partners that I could ever work with would be directly related to the content that I create. And so, one challenge that I would, I'm going to see if I can find your name. I don't think I can. I was trying to reference you by name here. Just Adventures with Time at your email. So if you could drop your name in the chat, let me know so I can address you personally. But what I would challenge you to do, and I don't know if you have a newsletter or an email list or whatever, but at the very minimum, you can do this on your community tab. You can say, hey, you know what? I want to understand more about you, my audience, right? I want to understand. Help me understand. You can even create a Google form. And so rather than the only data that you have around your audience being kind of the demographics of what you're seeing in the YouTube analytics dashboard, you actually go one step further and you say, I want to understand about the psychographics of my audience. I want to understand, what types of jobs do they have? Are they married? Do they have kids? Where are they consuming my content? Is it in line at Starbucks for 3 minutes, like scrolling on my phone? Or am I sitting down every weekend and watching, the last 3 videos that I missed, right? If you're comfortable, tell me your household income. Like, what brands and products are you loving and using right now? What is, going on? What is keeping you up at night? And if you start having that data, Nick, let's say that, for example, Adventures with Time did this survey and they realized that, there's a non-trivial portion of his audience that is really into miniatures, maybe right? Like where, painting miniatures or something like, I don't know, I'm making this up, right? But it's like, you realize like, oh, 20% of my audience is really into like, repairs of X, right? Maybe it's like not just watches, maybe it's like just repairing in general, right? And so you realize like, oh, like maybe, partnering with a tool brand might make sense, like a Harbor Freight or some of these other like larger tool conglomerate brands where it's like, hey, we're utilizing these specific tools, and so maybe it's not tools that you specifically use to repair watches, but it could be helping and serving your audience for their other interests. And so I think this is like one of the biggest unlocks, is that regardless of what your channel niche is, there's all sorts of other, if you look at it from a audience first mindset, how can I serve them? Then it oftentimes explodes the amount of opportunities that you could potentially have. And so I really think, oh, Bob, his name is Bob. Perfect. So Bob, like that would really be one of my recommendations, is like when you reach out to potentially some of these other partners, that the thrust of your pitch may not be, oh, let me talk about you on my watch page. I get 1,000 views per month. It could be, hey, let me do a webinar with you. I will do a webinar where I talk about, the intricacies of like repairing watches with your tools or something like that. Like that's a pretty freaking cool thing to pitch. You think they've ever done something like that before? Probably not. Right. But again, you see how you're flexing your expertise. You're helping them understand that there's other ways in which you can provide value to them. Brands are desperate to talk to their customers about anything other than their products, because that's what they're doing all day long. They're sending out emails like, here's the latest feature of our greatest product, 20% off. Like that's what they're saying in every marketing email. So if you can go like, hey, do this webinar with Bob from Adventures with Time. He has a YouTube channel where all about repair. He uses our tools to repair his watches. Come join and blah, 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 blah. Like, how cool is that? And how much should you charge for that? I don't know, 10 grand, 5 grand. I don't know. What's it worth to the brand? Right. So again, it's like, it's imagining you are not just a creator. You are a consultant. You are helping them understand all the ways in which you can serve them, which by the way, may not include posting on your channel.
And with that, one of the things that you always hear, anybody talk about that talks about growing YouTube channels, one of the things is, understanding your audience. So when it comes to, YouTube, it doesn't just help you there. It also helps you in situations like this as well. So one of the things, Justin, that I always recommend to people is, like use your community feed in exactly the way that you're talking about, but, use your community feed that way to better understand your audience for when you're making videos, things like that. But, using that as a way to get information that you can also leverage for brand deals, another next level thing right there. Like that's just, that's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, thank you for that. That's a power tip in terms of like breaking out of that narrow, niche in terms of like, oh, it's got to be a watch company, or it has to be these very specific tools that I use to, work on these watches. It opens you up to much bigger reach. Yeah. Fantastic tip.
Imagine when you make that pitch now. It's no longer, hi, my name is Justin. I've been a fan of your brand for 3 years. It's, hey, my name is Justin, and 30% of my audience is already using your product. I would love to be able to expose my entire audience to it. Because again, you're the conduit. They don't care about you. What they care about is accessing new prospective customers. So you have to draw the line between how you're going to help them access those people. It's a game changer.
Huge. Love it. So our next question is from how we got here, Genealogy. And his question was similar to the last question in terms of what type of brands could I reach out to? So in his particular case, he has a YouTube channel where he talks about genealogy. So there, I'm guessing that your recommendation, and correct me if I'm wrong and go ahead with your recommendation, is that he would do exactly what you're talking about in terms of using his community feed to really start to understand over time all the different things that his audience, or at least the people that YouTube is currently showing his content to, what those people are interested in as well. Thoughts?
100%. I mean, okay, like I'm going to be completely speculative here, but Viking cruises. Why Viking cruises? Because you probably have an older audience set that it would be into traveling through Europe on a cruise like that. And I'm making this up. Right. But it's
Good.
like, I probably, once you do your survey of your audience, yeah, you probably you ask them about what are they doing this summer, give me some insights into like, what's going on, like your family dynamics, whatever, right? You start understanding. And so I bet you could probably think up a pretty creative integration for Viking cruises on your YouTube channel. You think, oh, you go back to the land of your forefathers and you get to travel through Europe and learn more about the genealogy or your ancestry and all that stuff. Like that's a pretty cool integration, right? It's not like, ancestry.com. Like they think, oh, that's the only thing I could do, right? But it's like, wow, Viking cruises, that's pretty. And by the way, maybe this is something you pitched to Viking. Maybe this is kind of a unique idea and a unique angle and maybe something they hadn't considered before. But again, it's audience first. It's about what is going on in my audience's life, what makes them tick, what are the things they're investing their money in, this type of thing. And so everyone here, like we are creative. That's what we are. We're creators. And so like challenge yourself with like, wow, maybe there are some really creative ways in which I could integrate some brands that don't seem super obvious at first.
Great. Fantastic. I love everything that you're bringing today, Justin. Thank you so much. So the next question that we have here is from the Stadium. And this is a fantastic question because, a lot of people that watch my content are just getting started and they're just, getting the foundational stuff together. And then, like the people that, get that main experience, a lot of them will come hang out in live streams and stuff. But one of the questions that I have here, or actually the next question is, how can I make my channel more attractive for sponsors? So like when it comes to a brand, looking at a YouTube channel, what type of things are they looking for that content creators need to make sure that they're keeping in mind? Like as an example, one of the things that I always recommend to people is make sure your comment section's clean. It's just like one of the things, because you got to make sure that, what it is that you're doing is brand friendly, at least for the brands that you're trying to work with. Some brands don't care, but if you are after, a very specific set of companies that you're trying to work with, and you notice that they're like pretty family friendly and things like that, make sure you keep everything clean. So then that way it just opens up more opportunities for you. So things like that, like what do you recommend to, the people that you work with when it comes to, making the channel as a whole more attractive for when it gets reviewed by potential sponsors?
100%. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, actually, which is the global economy right now. Right. There's a lot of creators thinking, like being a little bit concerned, especially if you do work with brands to some degree. You're thinking, oh, like, are they going to be, reducing their ad spend? Like, are they going to be working with creators? Like, is that, should I be concerned there? And just a quick data point that I want to give is I've seen about a 10% slippage in inbound deal flow amongst all the folks that I work with, like year over year. So it is soft. I would say it is softer than this same time last year, and it's affected different niches. In a little bit harder. I would say certain niches, but to your point, in times of economic instability, brands and agencies are going to recede to the tried and true partners, which i.e. the family friendly channels, the ones where it's like, clearly there's no brand safety risk. There's no concern that if they partner with this person that, there's going to be blowback from a PR perspective. They know with relative certainty that if they invest in this particular niche, it's going to go pretty well. And so if you are, that is even more reason to be very conscious of what you just said, of like curating a very family friendly, social persona, making sure that, you're not going on crazy Twitter rants. Even if you're spick and span on YouTube, they might go check out your Twitter. They might do that, right? And so don't think that they're idiots. Like anyone, they're going to go and do a little bit of sleuthing to make sure that partnering with you is going to make sense, right? And so that is a very important factor. And so, if you want to make sure that you're kind of insulating yourself from this existential risk of losing sponsorships in this economic situation, then maintaining this kind of family-friendly presence is very, very important. Like I can speak personally to this, having worked at an agency for many years. The other thing too that I would say is that your posting cadence is very important, Nick. So if we're like real life scenario, if we were, okay, we're going to do a YouTube campaign, we're going out and we're trying to recruit creators. One of the criteria that we had established internally was if they have not posted a video in the last 1 month, they are immediately disqualified. And the reason being is, is that we need to have a relative certainty that if we were to pay this YouTuber to make a video about us, that we know within plus or minus some margin of error that that is what the viewership would look like for that sponsored video. When you have a giant gap, 3 to 6 months or whatever of content, however many, if you've ever taken a hiatus and when you come back, like it's kind of unpredictable in terms of how that video will ultimately do. And so brands are thinking about this stuff. Like they don't want to be that guinea pig for, you come back for 3-4 months not making a video. Oh, hey, it's a sponsored video, right? That may not perform very well, right? And so I like to say, like, at least at a minimum, you got to have a video within at least the last month. And honestly, once a week would be preferable. Like, again, you wanting to illustrate to this brand that you're
doing the thing.
That you're doing the thing.
Yeah.
This is an act. It's not like a content graveyard. This is like, an active channel, active growing channel. And then they're going to be able to achieve results by doing this. The other thing,
what about niching down?
Yeah.
What about niching down? Do you think, like from your experience, have you found that niche channels find brand deals a lot easier than channels that are variety and just making videos about all kinds of things? Like, what has your experience been there? Like, I would assume that being niche down would make the right fit, because if I was going to do some influencer marketing, I would make sure that the entire channel had videos in it that would apply to the people that I'm trying to reach, that hopefully would ultimately lead some of them back to the videos that I sponsored. That would be my perspective though. But from your experience with all of the, deals that you've worked on, yourself and with all the people that you've helped, what's your experience with that?
Let me answer this with a story.
Oh, great. Love it.
There was a big brand, a big telecommunications company that had came to my agency with a challenge. They had, through research and customer testing, found that their product, their phone service, performed really well with people in the FIRE community, financial independent, retirement early, this type of thing, right? And they had really struggled to find partners to talk to this audience, to make content around this kind of topic. And so that was the charge that they had given to our agency, like, help us with this strategy, right? And so what we did is we went and we did a bunch of sleuthing, looked on YouTube, and we found a creator named Mike, okay? And at the time, Mike had less than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, okay? Less than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. But Mike didn't just talk about budgeting, okay? Mike talked about budgeting for active duty military. That was his niche. Let me say that again. Budgeting for active duty military. And so the brand was thrilled to partner with him. They paid him super well because you know what they did? That awesome video that Mike created, they turned around and they repurposed it and ran a bunch of ads to reach people like him. Other people like him, right? And so you have to understand that, like, it's not just about your subscribership. It's not just about your viewership. Going back to some of these other goal types that we talked about, there's all these other ways in which you can provide value to prospective partners. And again, like, I challenge anyone in here who thinks that niching down is going to limit their amount of viewership, limit the amount of opportunities, which is 100% false. It's actually going to explode the amount of opportunities because you're now a much bigger fish in a smaller pond. I can speak to this with, like, authority. I've done so many sponsorships. I'm not just making this up. As a creator, I ran an agency, so I can tell you that when we were going out and recruiting creators, we didn't just go out and be like, oh, let's go find a lifestyle influencer, a fashion influencer on Instagram or whatever, a family vlogger. No, it's like the family vlogger who they do cruises for affordable cruise. That's who we want for this Royal Caribbean campaign or whatever. Like, that is the person who's going to stand out versus the high level generic person. And you may say, yeah, but the challenge that you give to me is, yeah, but look at all these big YouTubers. They don't have a niche. They just have like family vlogs and all this stuff. And like, yeah, I get that. I understand that. And those are the exception. That's not the rule. Okay. And the other quick example of this is, like, I am a sponsorship coach. How much more niche can you freaking get when it comes to serving creators, right? And you know what's happened? Nick, is that all of these creator economy startups, people who are trying to serve creators as their audience, are banging on my door now. And they're saying like, hey, Justin, how can we partner? Your YouTube, your newsletter, all this stuff, which is not something that I expected when I got into this. But it's like, again, and speaking to this other idea around, I call it, so I'm actually writing a presentation on this right now called the Trojan Horse Strategy. Okay. And I actually think it's kind of an interesting thread to pull, which is that a lot of people feel pigeonholed by this idea of having a niche. I'm multi-passionate. Like I want to talk about all these different things and I don't want to feel like I'm boxed in and all this stuff too. And so what because when I started my YouTube channel, Creator Wizard, I thought that I was going to be talking about all these other things like, product, direct fan funding and merchandise and, digital products, courses, all this stuff. Sponsorships was going to be one of them, but it's like, I was all over the place and I didn't know. And it was like, it actually took one of my audience members DMing me and being like, why are you talking about anything else other than sponsorships? Like you're clearly like really well suited to like, this is your wheelhouse. Like you should stop talking about all that other stuff. And I was like, well, that's a good idea. I guess I'll do that. And so I made that course correction and my traction exploded. And so over the last 2 years, I have built up a lot of authority and influence in this niche. Now I'm at the point where I just mentioned at the beginning that I just launched this brand new podcast, which is not just about sponsorships. I've now established this level of trust with this core audience that now I'm able to step back a little bit and start exploring some of these other things. So that's where the Trojan horse strategy comes in. It's like you go in with this one thing and then you can start stepping back.
And really quick, for those of for everybody here that's just joining us, could you just give a quick mention of the name of that podcast as well that you just started?
Creator Debates. So youtube.com/ at Creator Debates with an S. Okay. And yeah, would love, I think it's going to be like, I'm having the time of my life doing these debates because again, literally every episode pits 2 high profile creators against each other to debate a topic in the creator economy. So the next one, the one that literally just went live last week was full-time versus side hustle creator. Like which one do you, like, can you actually be successful if you're a side hustle creator? Do you have to go full time to ultimately achieve success? Next week's, the one that's going live on Monday, is YouTube versus TikTok. So nice. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Those of you who know Thomas Frank, of Thomas Frank Explains, he's defending YouTube, and John, who is the CEO of Stan, he's defending TikTok. So it's honestly, it's cool because I've gotten to pull a lot of favors and like get all these like really cool creators to like debate this. And the other thing that's fun about this is that it's naturally kind of like this, people are just like, there's conflict in the content itself. So yeah, man, I'm having a blast.
Yeah, that's cool. So thank you for sharing that. So yeah, everybody make sure that you go check that out as well. And another question that we have here is, and we talked about this earlier, so I'm just going to mention, just so you know that we did see the question. They say, how do you ask for sponsorships with no experience getting people to give you money to back you up? So we talked about that a little bit more in detail at the beginning of the stream today. So make sure that you check out the replay for that particular part, just so we can leave the room for, new questions here. But the next question that we have here, and if you don't mind, just for a few minutes that we just run through a quick lightning round of questions, just to go ahead and just grab some quick answers to kind of help some people out. So the very first one is, I've hit 5,000 subscribers and I'm very niche but active and engaged community. Most of my Star Trek related videos get consistently at least 5,000 views. Is this too early to look for brand sponsorships? If not, how do I start that process? I've gotten emails from brands, but they are all affiliate only, which I'm not interested in. So on the affiliate side, that's not a brand deal, just so you know.
Yeah, I think that I have a video on my YouTube channel called "How to Get Sponsorships with 0 Subscribers," and nice. I wanted to make something pretty hyperbolic, to kind of jokingly, help folks understand the value that you can bring beyond your subscribership, beyond your viewership. Because again, one thing we actually haven't talked about at all, Nick, which I think would be interesting to discuss, is like how you can help brands and companies in your local community. Because every creator always thinks like, oh, I'm going to go after these like huge conglomerate, multinational, huge brands, like M&M's. Sorry, Nick. Right. But it's like, you go out. No, but like, you know what I mean? Like everyone goes after like all these big, these brands they see sponsoring like huge YouTubers and all that stuff too. And yeah, it's not impossible, like obviously, but like there's so much opportunity for you to just go and look in your local community and help these companies with their social media strategy. Yeah, the pitch that you're making to them is not, hey, I'm going to talk about you on my YouTube channel. The challenge for you is, hey, I'm going to help you drive more foot traffic into your brick and mortar your 5 brick and mortar locations all around Chicago. That's what you're pitching. Right. And it's a different strategy. It's totally a different strategy. Maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's TikTok. It's like figuring out how you can do that, how you can help them run kind of like targeted advertising. But your channel, your platforms become your portfolio. They become your credibility to say, hey, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. Let me help you, because that company does not have a full-time marketing person. They don't, right? And so, or maybe they do, but like most of them don't, believe me, right? And so it's like there's so much money to be made with like thinking about some of these other types of strategies too.
And really quick, just so everybody knows, I dropped a link to Justin's YouTube channel, actually both YouTube channels, his Creator Wizard channel, where you can learn a ton about brand deals, and the other one for the creator debates. I dropped both of those in chat. So if you are, listening to this, make sure you engage for a second. Just you can click those links. You can go subscribe to those channels as well. So another question that I have here, which is kind of in alignment with what it was that you were just talking about, from Architectural Sheet Metal, says, how do we do localized campaigns? Like geo-targeting on YouTube is tough. So how do we do actually, like, what does that look like?
So it's not about geo-targeting per se, like with ads or something. ASM 101, I remember, thanks. I see you on my streams. Thank you for showing up here as well. It's the strategy would be, let me help you with your localized YouTube SEO strategy. So if someone types in best sheet metal manufacturer in Detroit, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up for your niche, right? But it's like, that's the key. Those are the long tail keywords that I'm going to be searching for. There's a random example, but I have this like pergola in my backyard, which is like, a thing that kind of covers this like little outdoor area that I have. And I needed to find a vendor to replace the roof of it. And so I literally was like on Google and YouTube, like searching for like, companies and videos around how to do this. And, if I was to find, sheet metal, vendor Bay Area, which is where I live, the San Francisco Bay Area, like I'm going to click on that video and I'm going to call that person. Right. And so it's like, that is the geo-targeting type of strategy you would use on YouTube. You would go to this, local manufacturer and be like, hey, I saw your YouTube channel. Like, I think we can, if you think about, kind of the search strategy here, let's help you try to outrank even your competitors in this local neighborhood by utilizing YouTube search. And so I'm going to make you 5 videos that either go on your channel. They could probably better to go on your channel than my channel. I can do it, but like probably better to like, let's revamp your YouTube channel. I'm going to make you a video a week. If you want to send me product, I'm going to like do some tutorials, do some demos, and we'll start uploading those. We'll do YouTube shorts. We'll do all this stuff. Because again, like, Google is starting to prioritize short form content in search. Have you seen this lately? Right? You type in something, right? You type in something and you start seeing shorts in there. And so imagine, again, this is the pitch you make to them. This is the kind of what I'm talking about when I say kind of a geo-targeted strategy locally.
That's fantastic. So thank you for answering that one. So we've been going for an hour now. So Justin, I would like to thank you so much for sharing your expertise here. Again, for everybody that's hanging out, I've got links to everything Justin has down in the description of this stream. Dropped a few links in here as well, but I really recommend that you go and you do sign up for his sponsorship wheel snapshot because it takes you through that process of, everything that's involved with, getting sponsorships and all of that. So make sure that you do, check that out when you get the chance. Justin, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise, man. I really appreciate it. You've added so much value. And from the moment you came on, just blowing minds. So, really appreciate you, coming on and sharing that with the community here.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. Happy to do it anytime. And I saw a really good idea in the chat: Nick versus D on creator debates. What do you think? Right. What do you think? We gotta pick a topic and let's.
Yeah, we can do it in the same. Yeah, we can do it in the same room and just duke it out, right? So good. Yeah. So Justin, thank you so much for hanging out. Everybody that was hanging out in the stream here, just make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Make sure you go check all of Justin's stuff out. Again, I got links to that down in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.